For the past couple hours, I have been wanting to make a video and share with you guys where I'm at and what I am experiencing right now. I want to always do my very best to be 100% transparent and real with all of you. I know that this video is going to be pretty hard for me to make. I've been pondering on it for some time now, but I think that it's a very important topic. It's something that a lot of people tend to suffer in silence. The fact that I have been making these videos and getting, 100% honest with you guys about where I'm at and what I'm experiencing and what I'm going through and what I'm learning on this journey in recovery. I feel like it's important that I not just express like the good stuff and really be able to share real stuff, I mean, it's all real, but what I mean by that is to talk about the things that I don't want to talk about. So I have suffered with mental illness most of my life. A little bit of history of mine. It started coming on around the age of 11. I started noticing mood shifts, and it was literally like the best way that I could describe it to my mother when she asked me what was going on with me because I had started to act differently was that it felt like there was a demon inside of me. And I remember looking in the mirror and listening to Disturbed, Down with the Sickness, and completely relating with the song when he talks about looking in the mirror and suddenly it changes, violently it changes. And around that time I started self-harming as a form of release, and also seeking attention from my mother, which I felt like I wasn't getting in the ways that I needed it, that like cry for help, almost like an act of desperation, because of how much pain that I was in. And I guess I felt at the time that it was like going unnoticed. But over time, that behavior became, and I guess what you would call obsessive compulsive behavior. And it carried on all the way into about a year and a half ago, almost 2 years ago, since I've acted out on those feelings. And for the past I want to say week. Um, I've been just feeling like extremely off. I noticed it, quite some days ago, and then like yesterday I just was like literally jumping out of my skin all day long. And I was at my mother's house, doing something for my business, and I had to leave because with the way that I was feeling, I felt like I wasn't in a good emotional condition to be there. So almost like in a way to protect my mother from my own behaviors that felt like was completely like uncontrollable. I had to remove myself from the situation. And when I spoke to her on the phone after leaving, I had to let her know, like, what I was feeling. And it's a very uncomfortable feeling to try to explain to someone who doesn't understand what that feels like, and to like get vulnerable and try to let them know in hopes that they won't like criticize you or like tell you what to do about it, and I had to explain to her that I was literally jumping out of my skin, and I felt paralyzed, like I couldn't make a decision, like I couldn't move, like I couldn't act on what I knew that I needed to do. And it's a very hard thing to explain what I was feeling yesterday. And today I have had this like complete, just overwhelming sense of sadness, like all day long. And I remember one day when I was with my ex-girlfriend, everything was good. Our life was good. Things were good. There was nothing going wrong. And I just remember crying in her arms and realizing that I had absolutely no reason to cry. I was just so sad. And, when you suffer with mental illness on top of repeated accounts of trauma, it's hard to tell what it is that these like feelings or emotions are coming from, which is what a lot of the work that I'm doing now is targeting on, figuring these things out so I can heal in those areas. However, like today, I have found it extremely hard. So obviously my video was cut off by my work and I'm home now. So I'm just gonna continue with it. I tried like re-recording a video and I was all over the place. So I guess I'm just gonna try to continue with what I was saying. So today, I have found it extremely hard to get out of these feelings. It's like one of those days that I need to emotionally flag. And what I mean by that is being in recovery, being someone who suffers with addiction issues and substance abuse. I think that there's a lot of people who have mental illness that struggle with these things because drugs and alcohol can work as a band-aid or a form of like self-medication. A lot of the drugs that I was using, I would call my medicine, because it would help to, heighten my serotonin levels, or to like relax me when I was feeling a certain type of way, or like mask those feelings, and it's very important for me in recovery to be able to acknowledge when I'm feeling this way, and getting myself to a point of being able to recognize it, because naturally I want to feel comforted. Naturally, I want to feel better than I am. And in this vulnerable state, I could end up putting myself unknowingly into harmful or dangerous situations for myself, as an act to fill a void or seek comfort outside of myself. And what I found myself doing today was in my car listening to a bunch of different music, and no matter what I put on, I still felt extremely sad. And that is a major red flag. It's like, okay, literally everything that I am listening to, nothing is helping. And it's in these moments that like I need to slow down. Not listen to any music, because music can so easily sway me one way or the other. And before I got into recovery, I would just indulge in all of this, music, in my feelings, drowning my feelings, self-medicating, acting out on impulses, and just like reliving my past over and over and over. It was like this crazy vicious cycle. And I'm glad that today I was able to recognize that, okay, obviously my emotions are extremely heightened right now. which most people who suffer with mental illness are very hypersensitive people. And so they feel a hell of a lot more than other people. They may cry a lot. I cry a lot. People who have suffered from trauma, I believe, know what real, deep, dark, malicious, like, pain feels like. And so they have this ability of being an empath and literally feeling other people's pain, um like that, and being able to like put themselves in other people's shoes, and just being like super vulnerable, like hypersensitive. It sucks because for people who aren't hypersensitive, people, they're like, oh my gosh, this girl cries about everything, which can really, make me feel like a black sheep, different. And then that's where people tend to suffer in silence, because they are afraid of sharing these things. They're afraid of getting vulnerable, in fear of judgment or people not understanding or telling them what to do or how they should feel. And in some of the stuff, the work that I'm doing, I'm realizing how like validating other people's feelings is so important, and also validating our own feelings is so important, because in unhealthy relationships and in unhealthy families, our feelings as children were not validated, and it can become a very unhealthy, like toxic, abusive way of going about things and dealing with things as we get older, because it's learned behavior, it's conditioned behavior, and literally like not knowing any better. So I aim to know better so that I can be better. For a moment today, I found some happiness being with my nephew. Today brought me so much joy. He's such an innocent, loving, fun-loving boy, and he's literally like the light in my life. And my nephew has kept me alive over 10 times. If I was guessing, it's got to be so much more than that. In the past 3 years, I've been battling suicidal ideations, back to back to back, before recovery and in recovery. Actually, the last time that I had any type of suicidal thoughts or ideations was right before me and my boyfriend split up, and right after me and my boyfriend split up. I was getting off of my bipolar medication and my antidepressants, and the side effects were so severe that like it was really bad. Like it was really, really bad. And I'm not going to get into details because these videos have already been pretty long. But I have warriored through all of it. And so what I'm getting to is these feelings are very real. and they can be very paralyzing and overwhelming, and they can isolate you. They can isolate people who are, struggling with this, cause us to go into some pretty dark places. Like my mind can go some really dark places, and it can be very scary sometimes. However, through battling this, now completely clean and sober for, almost 2 years, I am able to recognize when I should not be listening to certain music. I don't want to be causing myself to heighten any type of emotions that I may be not in control of in the moment. And also the importance of protecting my space and protecting my energy and protecting those around me by letting them know where I'm at, and expressing that in the most healthy way that I can possible in that moment, and fight it. I fight it. I am fighting it. I've been fighting it. And sometimes I just need to let people know like where I'm at. And then I need to allow myself to feel what I'm feeling. And what I mean by that is I need to acknowledge the feeling, and then I need to work through it. And so I was feeling very like dark and lonely today, and I almost hit someone up, like, got a hold of someone to spend some time with me, or, to fill that void, to comfort me. And, the old Tanya maybe would have like went out to the bar to drown her feelings, or, went out to Chicago and did a bunch of stuff that was going to heighten my feelings to bring me a false sense of happiness, like a band-aid and a numbing effect. However, through doing a lot of inventorying and seeing reading patterns and things like that, I know that I need to take a hot shower, light some tea lights in my room, put on a meditation, bring myself back to the present moment, try to find the good in things, think of all the things that I have to be grateful for. Now, granted, when I'm feeling this kind of way, it can be very hard to feel happy at all, no matter how hard I try or what my circumstances. I may just be stuck feeling sad, and that's just like when I need to like just work through it, because this is something that I've come to terms with, and I realize that this too shall pass. I've went through this over and over again, and it does pass. And how I'm feeling right now is not going to continue to last. I just need to work through it, do the next right thing, try to keep myself busy as possible, and just be good to myself, be kind to myself, slow down. If I feel myself getting too aggravated or agitated or whatever it is, to slow down. I might need to just cry and let it out. And just try to be gentle with myself. Working out at the gym tends to help me too, because it does release endorphins. And so when I'm feeling a certain type of way, sometimes working out, does help me to feel a little bit better. However, I do have work tomorrow, so I am about to just take a nice hot shower and call it a night. On some of my worst days, I've literally had to tell myself, Tanya, go to sleep. Tomorrow is a new day. We'll get to tomorrow when tomorrow comes. But today, we're just going to go to sleep. We're not going to act out on these thoughts or these behaviors. And we're just going to go to sleep. And I have battled feeling like doing it that way, one day at a time, just get through the day and go to sleep. Tomorrow's a new day. Self-harming thoughts, suicidal thoughts, whatever it is. I just really push myself to get through the day and face another day when it comes, and really bringing myself back to the present moment. Meditations really help me. There's so many guided meditations on YouTube. There's a bunch of different apps that you can download to use. But I can't stress enough, like, staying away from negative people, negative environments, letting the people that you love know where you're at and how you're feeling and why you're feeling that way. And being able to express yourself in a healthy way, and maybe reach out to other people who, would understand, and just be easy and kind to yourself. These things do pass, and they do come back. If you suffer with mental illness, it's like a cycle. It comes and it goes, and it comes and it goes. But we get through it, and we get through it together. And you're not alone if you're out there and you're struggling with mental illness and you're suffering in silence. Because I know that I tend to suffer in silence. I do have a few people that I know that I can call when I'm feeling a certain type of way. And if it is absolutely, completely unbearable, I make that phone call. Like the other night, I had to make a phone call at 1 o'clock in the morning to talk to someone about those obsessive compulsive thoughts that I had, about punishing myself, and then I had to go ahead and lay down. I lit a couple tea lights and I put on a meditation that had to do with like releasing toxic feelings, and it really made me like focus on every single area of my body one at a time, and completely brought me back to the present moment, because I was in a state of like replaying traumatic events that had happened to me over and over and over again, that I literally felt like the 14-year-old little girl that I was when all of this first began. And I was just so lost at that point in time, and it really helped me just to bring myself back to the present moment doing that meditation, and I just passed out. I guess the good thing about this is that I know that it's going to pass and that it always passes. And I don't want to make a permanent decision based on a temporary emotion, you know. And we get through this together. So if you're out there and you're suffering and you're struggling with this stuff, reach out to me. Let me know. I'm always here for anyone if they need to talk about some stuff. Please be specific, about what it is that you're experiencing. I am a very busy person. And I tend to open up a message if it's like, hey, how are you doing? And then I'm like, hey, I'm doing good. How are you? And then I go about my day, if you're out there and you're struggling and you really need my help, please let me know that. Let me know that you need my help, that you need to talk, so that I'm aware and I can get in touch and a hold of you as soon as possible. Your life matters, and I love you all so very much. I still feel this big, heavy sadness over me right now that I can't seem to break out of, but I'm just going to embrace it and love myself and take a nice hot shower, light some tea lights, and just breathe and think of all the things that I have to be grateful for, because there's so many things to be grateful for, despite how my mental may be feeling or my body may be feeling. This will pass. Life is good. It's totally worth living. Totally worth living. And there's so much good to be experienced. And I have so much hope for my life, despite how I may be feeling right now, which is out of my control. And please do not message on here and say, oh, have you thought about getting on medication and da-da-da-da-da, because I have been on medication since I was 11 years old, and it is my own personal choice to not be on medication and to do things the way that I'm doing them right now. Do I think that that is the best way for everyone? Absolutely not. I think that most definitely medication helps a lot of different people, and I'm not a doctor. However, I am in control of my own decisions, and Tanya decides that, right now I'm doing the holistic thing, and I'm still researching a lot of different stuff as far as different vitamins that I could be taking to help with my mood. Right now I'm taking B12 complex and fish oil, so if you have any suggestions about holistic solutions for mental illness, I am completely open to it. I know exercise is good, meditation is good, which is what I'm about to go do right now, hot shower meditation, and eating healthy. I had a nice vitamin packed smoothie today, and if there's others, please in the comments drop it below. Give these videos a like if you can. Share them out. Maybe somebody needs to hear this. And yeah, I love you guys, and thanks for listening. Have a good night. Bye.